Howdy, gang, and welcome once again to the Duct Tape Studios. I'm Jeff McAleer, your host, here at the Gaming Gang channel. Thanks for joining me once again. Today, I am going to share my review of Pathfinder Lost Omens Highhelm from Paizo Inc. This is written by Dan Cassone, Karen DeMarco, Dana Ebert, Sen HHS, Michelle Jones, Stephanie Lundeen, Leanne Merciel, Matt Morris, Dave Nelson, Nathan Renicky, Mikhail Rikun, Aaron Roberts, Owen K.C. Stevens, Andrew White, and Shan Wolf. And I do apologize, I've probably mispronounced some of those names. This 136-page hardcover is available now, carries an MSRP of $44.99, or you can grab just the PDF alone for $29.99. All that said, let's swing on over to the other camera because here I've got Pathfinder Lost Omens Highhelm. A couple of things I do want to mention before we jump on in. First of all, my friends over at Paizo Inc. were kind enough to provide me with this review copy, but neither I nor anyone else affiliated with the Gaming Gang has received any other sort of compensation for me to share this review with you. These days, it's important that you know that. We're also not going to look at each and every page inside this volume, but I do want to give you a very good feel for what you're going to find inside Highhelm and share my thoughts about the book as well. So let's take a look at the back. Delve the mountain deep. When the first dwarves reached the surface of Golarion, they constructed enormous keeps to serve as their new home. The mightiest of these keeps was Highhelm, a sky citadel built deep within the Five Kings Mountains. While other sky citadels have fallen since those ancient days, Highhelm holds strong, serving as one of the major centers of dwarven culture. Delve into the Emperor's Peak to experience Highhelm in all its glory. Learn about everyday life in the city, dwarven culture, and the various clans who influence the Sky Citadel. Explore the city's layers and surroundings, each featuring mysterious locations and sites of intrigue suitable for a multitude of adventures. Brave heroes and canny adventurers can even visit Highhelm for animal companions, martial training, new equipment, and more. What secrets will you find in the depths of Highhelm? All right, let's dive on in. So first thing to mention is that we've got a lot of artists who were involved in Highhelm. So got them right here. Give them a wee bit of a shout out. I would read their names off, but I guarantee I would butcher at least half of the pronunciations there. But got a lot of artwork throughout, and for the most part, it is solid artwork. Some of the artwork's kind of softer than I'm used to seeing in the Pathfinder 2nd edition releases. So I wouldn't say that the artwork is of the typical high standard, but still pretty solid. There's some pretty good pieces throughout. So this is, in essence, the Lost Omens source book for the dwarves. This is not just a gazetteer focused only on the Sky Citadel of Highhelm. It's important for you to keep that in mind. So we're going to start off with a bunch of history, a bunch of setting information. So it's not only about the Sky Citadel of Highhelm, it's also about the dwarven people themselves. So we get information about the culture as well as the dwarves. Then we'll start getting into some details about Highhelm, such as governance and law enforcement, crime and criminals. We get a timeline of important events that have taken place throughout the history of the Sky Citadel as well. We'll get information about the dozen different clans who make up kind of the ruling classes, or I guess I'll say ruling clans of Highhelm, as well as important individuals who are members of the clans also. So each of the clans is going to give us a breakdown of what they're known for, as well as some of them kind of skew towards certain alignments. So certain clans might skew towards being good or neutral or even evil. But of course, they're not stamped with a specific alignment that they have to be. So once again, we're going to get all dozen clans and then notable individuals who are part of the clans. Many of them are the clan leaders. And then we're going to get into a gazetteer, which is going to focus on the various different areas of Highhelm. And we're going to get a breakdown of different locations, notable people who are located there, different current events which are going on in these different areas, as well as various different items as well that you might find there. So we get a lot of detail about Highhelm. And one of the things I thought was very interesting about this Lost Omens release is how much it ties into the latest adventure path for Pathfinder, Sky King's Tomb. That isn't usually the case with the Lost Omens releases. A lot of times we'll see a Lost Omens release come out. It's pretty cool. It's got a lot of cool background and setting information. A lot of times we'll get player options, not a ton usually in the Lost Omen books, which I have to point out, at least to my eyes looking through this, reading through this, it feels like there's way more player options in this Lost Omens volume than I typically see in the past. But I'm really happy to say that this came out and the 3-part adventure path Sky King's Tomb followed up. And I will say that at least the first 2 chapters of the 3-part adventure path really do tie into Highhelm quite a lot. So I thought that was very cool. And we'll actually probably make this a must-have for those out there who are planning on running or have actually started running Sky King's Tomb. So we're going to get all these various different areas. Well, I shouldn't say all. There's like 5. But as you can see, we get some new backgrounds for each of these areas. We get some new feats. We get new items for some of them as well. So a lot of really cool info throughout. And we will go through the various different levels because it starts up top and it's kind of like, oh, well, these are the movers and shakers. And then start moving down. It's like, oh, there's the working folk. Now we keep moving further down. So there is a cutaway of Highhelm in the book. We've passed it, but it's pretty cool too. So just kind of flipping through here to give you an idea of the gazetteer portion. I would say, in my opinion, that a great majority of this book really is game master facing, not necessarily player facing, until we get into the options. Then we start seeing the new archetype, new options, new gear. We have some stuff here too that it's not only aimed at dwarves. So you can have non-dwarven characters taking up some of these, like for an example, the stalwart defender doesn't have to be a dwarf. And then of course we'll have different gear as well. So something that is tackled in this portion of the book is also the various different deities that the dwarves worship. And that's why I had mentioned that this is kind of more along the lines of a dwarven source book for Pathfinder 2nd edition, as opposed to just a gazetteer aimed at Highhelm itself, or creating your own sky citadels if you wanted to. So we're going to wrap up with a bestiary. So we've got various different creatures here. Some are domesticated, some are monsters that you could encounter in the depths. And then we finish up with a glossary and an index. So that is a look inside Pathfinder Lost Omens Highhelm. Let's swing on over to the other camera because I'm going to share some final thoughts and give this a review score. So there's a lot I really, really like in Pathfinder Lost Omens Highhelm. As I mentioned previously, this is kind of a dwarven source book not necessarily just a gazetteer about Highhelm and the Five Kings Mountains. Now, I do have to point out that I do have some quibbles with this release. I have kind of a major quibble that I'll talk about in just a moment, but I do want to mention that if you're a game master who maybe you're not planning on running Sky King's Tomb, or maybe you feel that you already have enough information about dwarves in your version of Golarion, you don't necessarily need to take a really deep dive into the culture. This isn't necessarily a must-have for you. But if you are really interested in learning more about the dwarven culture and deities, as well as Highhelm, and let's say you're going to run Sky King's Tomb, then I would say this is really worth picking up. As I mentioned before, some of the artwork's kind of soft. Like I said, not as sharp, not as inspiring, I guess I would say, as some of the fantasy artwork we see in many Pathfinder 2nd edition releases. Not terrible. Most of it's really good. But like I said, there are some pieces where I'm kind of like, really? Not a ton, but there are a few. And let me talk about my biggest quibble. And yes, I do understand the production costs for role-playing game physical releases has increased. I get it. A lot of role-playing game publishers out there have raised their prices on their physical releases, as well as their digital releases too. So I get that. But at 136 pages, I do feel that $44.99 is pricey. And as a PDF at $29.99, that is really pricey. So I want to mention that because, and yes, I get it. There's loads of gaming content in here, a lot of stuff that game masters are going to be able to use for a long, long time. So role-playing games are a bit different than if you were buying, say, a board game. But one thing I would like to see Paizo Inc. do, if, they're sticking with this new price point, would be include the PDFs for free if you purchase the physical book from them, right? Because we usually see a lot of role-playing game companies out there, which I'm not going to throw out a bunch of names, but I cover them all the time. If you buy the physical book, you get the PDF absolutely free, but you have to buy the physical book from them to get the PDF. I would like to see that because, strangely enough, Paizo Inc. has kind of an oddball pricing, especially on their PDFs. We'll see some of the more like core releases come out, and the PDF price is really low. You might have a $40 book, and the PDF is $9.99, which is fantastic. That's an excellent price on a PDF because normally we see PDFs at about half the price of a physical release. But then we see something like this release, it's $44.99, and the PDF is $30. I mean, that's really pricey for a 136-page PDF. So I am dinging my review score because of the pricing of this book. I really am. Sorry to say. Having said that, though, this is a really good book. I really do like a lot of what's included in this. And I think for most Pathfinder game masters, you're going to find a lot of usable material in here. Players, I don't know. Like I said, there's some cool player-facing character options and things like that, and the deities information along those lines too. But as a player, I don't know if you really need to pick up Pathfinder Lost Omens Highhelm. But as a game master, probably want to add it to your collection. So on a scale of 0 to 10, I give Pathfinder Lost Omens Highhelm an 8.5 out of 10, even with my major issue on the pricing. All right, that is it for this time out. If you like the video, by all means, please give it a quick thumbs up. Subscribe to the Gaming Gang channel if you haven't already, and if you do subscribe, don't forget, ring that bell, because it'll not only let you know when I upload videos such as this review, it'll also inform you when my live stream, the Gaming Gang Dispatch, airs Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday evenings right here on YouTube at 7 p.m. Central. And of course, when you're not watching videos on the Gaming Gang channel, be sure to visit gaminggang.com for all latest in tabletop gaming news, reviews, and a whole lot more that you won't find here on the YouTube channel. You know the drill. Get your geek on at thegaminggang.com. Once again, I'm Jeff McAleer. Thank you very much for joining me. And until I see you next time, here's hoping each and every one of you gets to enjoy plenty of great gaming with your gang.